Welcome to Dr. J's Prescription for Health. This is our live stream we have every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and every Sunday at 10 a.m. and those are Central Time. Good morning, Lucy. I have with me my co-host from heaven. This is Tucker. He's coming up on 1 year on February 16th that he's been in heaven with Jesus and watching over everything. So it's beautiful. I miss him terribly, but I know he's in good hands. So that's what's beautiful about it. So as a reminder, I am live on Instagram and YouTube. And you guys, this is not medical advice. This is for information purposes only. Maybe a little bit of entertainment, maybe not. But your job is to listen, ask questions if you have them, and share this information. So if you look and you have not already subscribed, please hit that subscription button, hit the follow button, hit the thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. It does make a difference, and it helps my channel grow. I would love this channel to grow, okay? To start out, I want to go over, I'm gonna move Tucker because he glares. Tucker's glaring. He's glaring at you guys. That's because he's all shiny. I want to go over some things that I believe come up often, and I just want to go over a lot of it. Will just be a simple review. But how can you tell without getting any labs if you have some sort of metabolic problem? Okay, how can you tell if you have a metabolic problem without getting any labs? There's some things that you can look for. One, and a very simple one, and again, these are not specific, but they're pretty good reminders of, hey, we got a problem, is that every time you eat, you get tired. Oh gosh, okay, RM, I'm sorry to hear of that, but yes, you go, and thank you for letting me know. RM is one of our moderators. And yeah, thank you for letting us know. And we will pray for you, RM, okay? You be well and get going, and thanks for letting us know. I appreciate it. So RM has to get to the emergency room for an urgent emergency issue. So if you guys are praying people, please pray for RM. So getting back into our signs, whether they're specific or non-specific, being tired after meals is not a good sign. Having to take a little snoozy on the couch after meals is not a good thing, and could be an indication that your metabolic health is not well. It could indicate that you are having, or you do have hyperinsulinemia, okay? Increased belly size. This is common. When our insulin level is elevated, your fat cells that you have on your body can really only get so fat. And if you're a person who doesn't have a lot of fat cells, you just have a few fat cells, and I would say that Southeast Asians probably have the least amount of fat cells. And so it is much easier for them to get liver fat or pancreas fat or just in general organ fat. And that's what that big belly indicates, is that you got some fat growing ectopically around organs, your heart, your pancreas, your liver, your kidneys. Fat on these organs is not good. Do all people have some fat on their organs? Yes. Yes, they do. But if you have hyperinsulinemia or insulin resistance diabetes, you more than likely have liver fat that is leading to your big belly. So a big belly, okay? Brain fog, cognitive decline, just having memory issues. That can be a sign, a generalized sign that you are not metabolically healthy. Low mood, fretfulness, anxious. These are signs of metabolic disruption or metabolic dysfunction. High blood pressure, high blood sugars. The most common cause of high blood pressure, I think initially, is hyperinsulinemia. You lower your insulin, this lowers the amount of water and salt retention, and your blood pressure naturally goes down. High triglycerides, low HDL. Again, I said that we wouldn't measure labs, and if you could just tell without doing labs, blood pressure is one of the things that you can. How about skin tags? Skin tags on your neck or skin tags underneath your arms, those are signs of insulin resistance, okay? People who have brown patches on the back of their neck, that is a very common sign of insulin resistance. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, those are just some of the early signs that I like to discuss when we don't have availability to labs, and you're wondering, hey, do I have metabolic dysfunction? Arthveda, thank you. That would be interesting. But I'm guessing you're telling me that my thumbnail is not good enough, and it's only the thumbnail that will make my channel skyrocket and increase views okay. All right. You guys are so shy. Do we have any questions? Are there any questions this morning? Good morning, Olivia. Thank you for being here. Okay, should we keep going? I want to talk a little bit about ketones. Yes, endogenous ketones are probably preferred over exogenous ketones. The difference, endogenous ketones are the ketones we make. Our body makes them. Your body can only make ketones when insulin is low. And I'm going to say optimal. Optimal is between 3 and 5. Your insulin level is optimal when it's between 3 and 5. Okay? So getting your insulin level checked by your doctor is paramount. Are they going to check it on their own? No. Do you have to ask for it? Yes. Why? Because they don't even know what it is, most likely. I might be painting a broad brushstroke here, but even myself, I'm not sure that I knew about insulin as much as I know now. So getting a fasting insulin level. You cannot be in a ketogenic state if insulin levels are elevated, okay? That it's the only way that you can start a process called lipolysis, breakdown. Lysis means breakdown of fats. When a cell starts to break down, it's called lipolysis, it will release fatty acids. Those go to the liver, where the liver incorporates them and then can make ketones. I have seen people initially, again, this was one of my reels this week, I've seen people initially have very high triglycerides. And that is because of the rapid fat loss or weight loss that is occurring when somebody goes on from a standard American diet to a ketogenic diet. They lose a lot of weight. Now, granted, a lot of that in the first week or two is pathologic water because of salt and water being released because insulin is coming down. But I can see triglycerides elevated for months. And that is just because the fat cells are breaking down and they are dumping or leaking out so many fatty acids that the liver can't deal with them all at once. So triglycerides can stay elevated. It's not always the case, but just to reassure some of you is keep checking those. If you're in a constant state of weight loss, your triglycerides, despite the fact that you're not eating carbs, can still be high. Okay? All right. What about exogenous ketones? Exogenous ketones. If you don't want to be on a ketogenic diet, can exogenous ketones help you? Well, they can't hurt you. How about that? They cannot hurt. They can only help. And if the body, let's just say the brain, if the brain and the heart had a choice between glucose and ketones, my belief is that they will choose ketones first. And that's a big statement, but I'm going to stick with it for right now. I'm sticking with the fact that if the body had a choice, it's going to choose ketones. And the main ketone would be BHB. And so if you're going to take ketones, there are different kinds of ketones. When the liver makes ketones, so if the liver is making endogenous ketones, it makes it in two different forms. And they are like mirror images of each other, okay? They're not really, well, they're opposite. They're mirror images. They're mirror images. So it makes a D form and an L form. And some of the ketone drinks or powders that are out there will include both. And they'll be in different forms. There'll be a form like a precursor, which is something like ketone IQ. That is a precursor. You start out with something, and then your body will take that precursor and make BHB through a series of steps. You can take a ketone ester, you can take a ketone salt, you can take a ketone acid. The acid ketone drink, so to speak, is basically something that has no attachment to electrolytes. So it's not going to be attached to potassium or sodium. Whereas a salt, that's the meaning of that name, is the BHB is attached to a salt, and that's how it travels and gets through the body and works and does all its things, okay? But a ketone acid is completely free of those things, and it just goes to work right away. But I'm guessing, and I don't know this, I haven't looked into the cost, but do you need extra ketones if you're already in a ketogenic state? I'm on the fence about that, because it makes me wonder, if I give exogenous ketones, will my endogenous ketone production halt? Meaning, will I stop breaking down fat because there's already ketones there? I don't know the answer, and this is something I've wanted to look up for a while now. But just the mere fact that you give or have ketones, your metabolism of the fat cell itself is higher. Meaning, your white fat, like subcutaneous fat, or maybe just under the subcutaneous fat, superficial deep fat, however you want to say it, it's basically not very metabolically active. Meaning it just kind of sits around, and you guys can truly probably understand that. But as we go into a ketogenic state, whether it's with endogenous ketone production from our liver or taking in exogenous ketones, that fat becomes actually more metabolically active, and maybe even 3 times more metabolically active. And you go, how is that possible? In all reality, it's probably because the fat cell senses a low glucose state, because the body wants to use ketones over glucose. So it's going to start breaking down much faster. Again, it would be something I need to look into, but I walk through these scenarios. And so do I take exogenous ketones? No. I have a lot of athletes in my practice who do take exogenous ketones. They are not on a low carb diet, and they feel great with extra ketones. If you are on a carnivore or a ketogenic diet already and your ketone levels are already high, I don't know if it is necessary for you to take more ketones. Are you going to get a benefit? I'm just not sure. Okay. Patrice says, thank you for the recommendation. I purchased Jacobson salt. It's got very good flavor. You agree? I agree. Whew, it's some good stuff. Dirty Muffler says, good morning, Doc. Thanks for hosting another live stream. You're very welcome, and I appreciate you guys for being here. You know, I could host a live stream all I want, but if there's no one here, it kind of makes it real boring. So please hit the thumbs up, share it, and, get some of your people, some friends, family, coworkers, get them subscribed. I would really appreciate it. Okay. So any questions on the ketones? Any questions on size of fat cells versus, see, there's a size of a fat cell, and then there's a number of fat cells. And another thing that I'm actually going to do a reel on is that we have in our bodies a personal fat threshold. And certain cultures have less fat cells, as I mentioned before, like Southeast Asians. They will have least amount of fat cells, meaning if they have a lower amount of fat cells, you'd say, oh, that's great, that's great. Not so fast. It's not great if you are eating a high carb meal or high carb diet that has elevated amounts of insulin on board. So if insulin is on board, it's going to make the limited amount of fat cells you have fatter until they start leaking. When they start leaking, fatty acids go to the liver, like I said, and we get into a state of lipogenesis. So fat is going to form on our organs, and that's called ectopic fat. I mentioned that before. It's ectopic, meaning we're getting fat in places that we shouldn't be fat, inner organ fat, okay? A person like the Southeast Asians who have less fat cells all over their body will fill those up, and they get fat really fast, and that's why they don't look obese. They fill them up, they start leaking fatty acids and inflammatory markers like cytokines and interleukin and all of these things, and then it feeds back to the liver, and then the liver starts starts making fat. All right? Now, this goes to show you as well that if you do liposuction, right? So let's say you're a Caucasian American and you're female, which is the most common group that's going to be going in for liposuction, although I have seen some men, but women especially doing liposuction. Remember, you have a set, so to speak, a set amount of fat cells in your body. Are there people, caveat, are there people who can still make fat cells? Yes. This is not the norm, but there are people who have fat cell hyperplasia. I know that you know that those people exist. Why? Because those are the people who continuously get fatter and fatter and fatter. They are such obese people, they can reach 600 pounds because they have a genetic predisposition to make more and more fat cells. And if you can make more and more fat cells and you continuously feed them with carbohydrates or sugar, then insulin is going to be high and you continuously feed them and they can be exceptionally obese. Now let's get back to the female who's going in and doing some liposuction. You're going to suction out fat cells. When you do that, it leaves fewer fat cells available. And those fat cells are going to get fatter. They're going to be in areas that you weren't fat before, maybe. Yes, organs, maybe breasts. Maybe if you suction out on the backs of your arms, now you're going to get fat distribution on your belly or your inner thighs or your butt, because it has to, the food that you're eating has to go somewhere, okay? So it's going to make those fat cells even fatter because, well, one, you have less fat cells, so it's got to go somewhere, right? And so I caution these women or men who are going in for liposuction, and they expect that they're going to be, they're down, say they take off 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds of fat from your body. And they'll say, oh my gosh, I'm metabolically better. No, there's nothing about removing your body fat cells that's going to make you more metabolically sound. If you continue to eat the same foods that you are eating, you're just going to get fatter in other areas. Taking fat out changes nothing about your blood sugar levels or your insulin levels. So you're still metabolically in a bad state, okay? Now, let's say you have gone on a ketogenic diet, and then you want to do liposuction because you've changed your ways, but hey, man, I want to get rid of some of this fat on my belly, fat on backs of my arms or where inner thighs, wherever it's at, you would necessarily have to maintain that diet, or you're just going to get fatter in areas where you weren't fat before, okay? And sometimes the power of that fat growth is even more than it was before, all right? Okay. Let's see. Did I miss a question here on Instagram? I can't remember. It's hard for me to look back. Okay, doesn't appear that I've missed any questions. Okay. Nothing over on YouTube. I am live on YouTube and Instagram. This is surprising that there's not any more questions than what I'm seeing. I guess you guys are just listening in and trying to figure out all of these things and wondering, you know, what metabolically you can do. Do I feel that a ketogenic diet is the best diet? Yes. Now, are there other diets that can improve or stimulate weight loss? Yes. I am not going to deny that. The thing with the calories and counting calories, where I kind of deviate away from that thought process, is that if you were to lower your calories, let's just say you go from, you're on a standard American diet, you just eat whatever, you know, you'll eat burgers or pizza, or you'll eat broccoli and chicken. It's just, you just eat whatever is there. Okay. There's no real rhyme or reason to your diet. And let's say you're consuming 1,500 calories a day and I lower you to 1,000. Will you lose weight? Yes. Yes, you will. Most likely, yes, you will. But as you lower your calories, it's energy, that's energy. That weight you lose might not be fat weight. As you progress onto a low calorie diet and insulin remains high, meaning you're still eating carbohydrates as your main source of energy, your insulin levels will stay high. On a low calorie diet, have you experienced or have seen other people gain more fat on a low calorie diet than a person who's eating a ton of a carnivore diet, a ton of energy on a carnivore diet? Meat, eggs, you know, bison, buffalo, sheep, lamb, bacon, butter, you know, just animal products, even some dairy, okay? The body will naturally shut down its metabolic rate when not enough nutrition is coming in, okay? It is what it is. So it is very, very hard to sustain or keep up that low calorie diet and survive. Your metabolic rate will slow down and you kind of act like a zombie. Now, I know this from experience. When I was in my bodybuilding prime, I would probably be eating a somewhat standard American diet, okay? Yes, I watched what I ate. I mainly watched fat content. But when I would go from that diet down to a bodybuilding diet, my calories came down from 1,500, like I said, to like 1,000. And that's kind of where I got that term, okay? The hunger at the very beginning was amazing. I mean, I was so hungry. I thought I could punch myself in the face or eat my fingers, whichever came first, okay? Because I was that hungry. Again, when I was eating my low-fat, standard American diet-ish, my insulin level was likely high. And for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, it takes time for that insulin level to drop. And so I was having to fight hunger all the time for at least the first month. So the first 4 weeks out of 16 weeks, I was miserable. I don't want to say suffering, but kind of suffering. And I don't want to say that I have some super girl powers, but when you have a goal to stand on stage and not have jiggly fat on you and enter a bodybuilding contest, you can fight. Well, I can fight off hunger. It was miserable, but I fought it off. I would not cheat because the pain of standing on stage and being laughed at was worse than the pain of hunger. And if you know me well enough and you know that I have taught you in the past that people will stray away from pain. They do not want to have pain and they don't want to experience hard things. They will go toward easiness and joy. And for me, the pain and being hard was worse. That pain of standing on stage with body fat was more painful than the pain I was experiencing from hunger. Now, after that first 4 weeks, my metabolism started to slow down a lot, okay? I could tell because my energy levels started to get zapped. However, I was the strongest I have ever been. And I remember my workout partner said, well, I think you're stronger because you have less weight and you can move your body, because it would be like on dips or squats or something like that, where the strength was, incredible. And that incredibleness made me want to keep going, even though I could barely make those pedals going around. But the high of the strength hitting those dopamine receptors was, whoa, out of this world, even for a girl, okay? So girls love to be strong too. Well, most girls. I think that is normal for everybody. But yeah, when I was dieting, my strength went through the roof. Why do I think it is? I went very, very high protein. I was probably eating 200 grams of protein. Very little. I bet less than 30 grams of fat, 20 grams of fat. And carbs were less than 20 as well. So all of my calories 800 calories came from protein. If I'm eating 1,000 calories, maybe 1,100, 800 of them were from protein. 4 grams per gram, and I was eating 200. So yeah, it was a high amount of protein, and I think my body was nutritionally deprived right from the very beginning. And so that increase in protein really shot my strength up. Once your body, when you first start out, your body is burning. It's not burning. It's breaking down. It's lipolysis, using that fat as ketones. So was I in a ketogenic state? More than likely. Did we have things that we could measure ketones at that time? Yes, urine, but it's not as accurate. No, I didn't know about it. I didn't even know what ketogenic really meant. I just knew low carb. If I wanted to get stage ready, low carb was the only way to do it. As I progressed through the 16 weeks of dieting, I had to do more and more cardio because my basal metabolic rate was going down, 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 okay? Because the calories were so low. Calories coming in, energy coming in, no matter what it was so low that my basal metabolic rate shrunk. So I had to do more and more cardio to continuously be in what I want to just lightly say a fat burning mode, okay? And it could get us to maybe a 3 to 5% body fat. I probably started at some point, I probably started at 20% body fat. That's what my off season looked like. I held it well, but now thinking back, as I was a little chunk, okay? It might not have been that much, but it seemed like it was. I know it was at least 15, okay? But when you start coming down and the goal was to be at a certain leanness, yeah, it was a powerful reminder about how food is important. And when I went back to eating somewhat normal food, the taste of it, I could taste every morsel. It was simply amazing. Truth Seeker says, hi, Doc. Hi, Dr. J. Can you explain the differences in all the salts? That is a very, can you help me out? What do you mean by the differences in all the salts? Help me out. Okay. I'm going through and making sure I didn't miss any questions over here. Oh, Himalayan sea salt. I personally try to consume salts that are made in the United States. I used to consume Redmond's. I don't anymore. I think it's lower on the list. And the reason why it's lower on the list is because I feel that there are probably some heavy metals in there that I don't want. I don't want to consume something that maybe come from another country where aluminum is added, iron might be added, some sort of coloring might be added to make it the pink that you want to see. But I'm very choosy, and I do look up the different salts, okay? As far as aluminum or some other source of metal that could be in my salt. And yes, Dirty Muffler, Baja Gold does rank very high. So does Jacobson's. And I believe Diamond is in the top 5, if not the top 3. So those are the ones I choose. Is it possible to get all of the magnesium, Truth Seeker? I'm not sure. The only way to know is to get an RBC magnesium level. Don't just get a serum magnesium. Get a red blood cell magnesium. It's going to be more accurate. Is it more expensive? Absolutely. Will your doctor know the difference? May not. They might not know the difference at all. They might not even want to check your magnesium level at all. You can get your iron studies, you can get magnesium level, you can get a selenium level, a zinc level, all of those, copper level, I would get in a red blood cell level. Iron, you can get serum iron. Is Celtic sea salt good? It moved down on my list. Again, I used to use that one too. I stopped. Once there's a lot of people who go and do testing on the salts, and if they start finding high levels of metals in the salts, they're going to make that known. And so I cannot, right now, you guys might be able to help me. There is a website that you can go to, and it will list the cleanest or purest salts. But getting back to the minerals that are in salts, even though the minerals might be in it, you might not be able to absorb them very well. Again, I would err on the side, before I started taking anything, I would check my levels. Don't just take, a mineral or an electrolyte unless it's early on. Then I could see, hey, start taking some electrolytes, because the minute, if you go cold turkey from standard American diet to and I know this from experience, didn't know why, but I just knew my body was changing. If you go from a standard American diet down to a very low carb, no carb diet, that first week, when you start peeing out and losing all of your salt and other minerals, you are going to be lightheaded and dizzy. And I felt the lightest I've ever felt in those first few weeks. It was just an amazing feeling, but no, I didn't like the dizziness or the lightheadedness that started. And at that time, I was probably over consuming water. I believe now that that worsened, because the more water you drink, the more you're going to pee out with electrolytes. And so, no, I don't think that's very good for our kidneys. The kidneys having clear urine, I used to promote that, okay, you're good if your urine is white. No, it's not. That means your kidneys are working even harder to concentrate your urine. And that's not good. That means what the kidneys should be doing is doing jobs with other things, and it shouldn't have to solely be worrying about concentrating the urine. So I drink when I'm thirsty. And it seems like I'm thirstiest in the morning. And it's probably after, being, sleeping all night, but at the gym, I feel like, and it's maybe dry there, but at the gym, I probably go through at least a bottle of water at the gym. And I know you guys go, that's not very much. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good amount when we maybe shouldn't, and that's in an hour's time. So, you know, okay, I answered that question from Dirty Muffler. Okay, thank you for sharing that resource, Doc. Yeah, Dirty Muffler, I can't remember what the name of the website is, but it's slipping my mind, but it's very common. Do you make your own electrolytes? I do not. I mainly consume salt. I've had my labs checked, my red blood cells, selenium, zinc, copper, magnesium levels were all in what I consider an optimal level. Again, I feel that my kidneys are highly functioning from looking at the labs. And so I think that I'm getting obviously enough of the electrolytes in just the foods that I'm consuming. So get your labs checked. That's the most important thing before you go jumping into taking a whole bunch of vitamins and minerals, okay? Linda asks, for saggy skin after weight loss, is there anything besides surgery to lessen the sag? Well, let's first talk about what is causing the saggy skin. When our body grows exponentially in ways that is not meant to be, the elastin and collagen, everything stretches. It's like a rubber band. But as the rubber band, if you recall, if you got a rubber band that's older and it's been stretched to capacity for a while, it loses its ability to rebound, okay? One, you've been malnourished when you're in obesity. I know you say, how could I be malnourished when I was obese? You're malnourished because you lack essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, okay? So you were malnourished. And so if you weren't feeding yourself the essential amino acids, the protein that you need, and essential fatty acids that you need, you're not getting as much, then the elastin and collagen and your bones and all your organs and your skin are not doing so well, okay? And so you're going from a malnourished state that you get hyper stretched, and then all of a sudden you go to a crash diet, you go to a weight loss diet, whether that be keto or low energy intake. You want to call it calories, so low calorie, or just going to a vegan or vegetarian or something different than your standard American diet. And you have a rapid weight loss. The rapid weight loss will cause more saggier skin than if you were to lose weight gradually and slowly by increasing your energy intake instead of a crash diet of low calories, low energy intake. So do I feel that a person who goes on a lower carb than what they've been doing, and they gradually come down with their carbs, and they increase their essential amino acids and increase their essential fatty acids, their skin, the elastin and collagen, and the amount of vitamin C that's going on, because you need vitamin C for collagen, I'm telling you what, I have seen people where they've lost hundreds of pounds and have very little, if any, sagging skin. Now, can that sagging skin, you see, once I believe, Linda, I don't know the answer to that, but in my mind, I want to say, once you did that rapid weight loss and you have that sagging skin, I don't think it can be reabsorbed into the body. I could be wrong. It's something I've never really, thought about, but maybe surgery is the only way. But if it was me, before I jumped to surgery, I would follow a ketogenic diet, very low carb diet for years before I would delve into that and see if some of that collagen and elastin can come back. Just my thoughts on it. I don't jump into surgeries very lightly, okay? I'm not into having surgery. Okay, let's make sure I don't have anything over on Instagram. No, thank you guys. I'm live on Instagram and on YouTube. As a reminder, this is not medical advice. This is for information purposes only. You need to take all of this stuff to your physician or you need to look it up on your own, okay? That's just my thoughts on it. The Truth Seeker says, and on the doctor's chart for an overweight, obese person, they note well-nourished. Yes, I have seen that, Truth Seeker. And here's the reason why. Hear me out. We have templates. We have templates that we can click a button and a template will formulate. Hi, Angie. A template will formulate into your chart. We can even use the template from your last visit. And we need to adjust it according to your visit that time, not just simply copy and paste or push the template button and it reformulates for this visit. And so if the doctor originally put well-nourished, in no distress, answers questions appropriately, yet the BMI says obese or morbidly obese, the BMI over 30 to 35 to 40, they will say well-nourished. And they will continuously click the button. Now, I never used ready-made templates. I actually made my own templates. And so I had templates where I could click buttons. So are you alert and oriented? Yes. ×3? Yes. Person, place, time. Alert and oriented ×3. And then I would put, would I put well-nourished? You could either put well-nourished or cachectic, meaning you look really, really skinny, you look very ill, cachectic body style. Usually I wouldn't comment because I didn't want to comment, okay? A lot of that stuff can be used against a doctor. So putting in terms like that, we used to put in your gender. And most doctors will not put that now because that could actually go against us, even though what you believe and not believe, you know what I'm saying, okay? But wow. So a lot of things we leave out, but if that doctor was not really reading through things and just click the template, reformulate it, or just click the template for a new, it'll say your obese person will be well-nourished, and they'll say, well, they are well-nourished. I mean, look at them. But they don't know. They have a condition of ignorosis. The fact that they continue to get obese is because they have no nutrition and their body is hungry for nutrients that they're not getting. So it will continue to tell you you're hungry and you will reach for the things that comfort you and you think that they're nourishing you, but they are not because they are devoid of nutrients. They are devoid of essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so you are actually malnourished, not well-nourished. The doctor doesn't know that. Most doctors don't know that. Okay? Yes, Truth Seeker. Ignorosis. Thank you for reminding me. I got to put that in my t-shirts. You guys, that reminds me. I have a store on Fourth Wall. It's labeled on YouTube. It is also in my description on Instagram. But go there. I have the buffoonery line of apparel and things that you can purchase. I just added a new apron. That just has my name on it. But I need to probably put a apron with the no longer bamboozled by the buffoonery. But yeah, check out the gear. But I need to get into the ignorosis one because I need to do my own definition, right, Truth Seeker? So I'm going to put ignorosis. Osis means a condition of ignorance. So yes, I believe that a lot of doctors have a condition called ignorosis. I had a condition of ignorosis at one time. Do I still? Probably. But I'm working to improve it, and most doctors do not. How about that? It's a sad thing. But it is true. You know, I believe that people in general give so much credit to doctors, way overboard, way overboard. Do we demand it? Most likely. Most anybody who has gone to such higher degrees of education thinks that their crap don't stink, their crapola, and thinks they deserve everything because they did the extra mile, okay? I'm not putting down doctors. I am one. But the very fact that we are doctors means that we have a little bit of toughness in us to withstand such criticalness of professors and other doctors that you almost build up this wall of protection to say, I'm not going to let you hurt me. No matter who you are, I'm not going to let you hurt me. And so we develop this super ego. And this super ego shell will say, you know what, you peons, okay? I'm family practice, by the way. I'm family practice. So I'm in the United States. So we have to take into consideration, and I'm not giving doctors this free ride or this this hall pass and says, well, they do have the education, and no. We should act like every other human because we actually put our pants on the same way and our socks, and we brush our teeth, and we do everything like you guys. And so I was never really like that because my dad was such a humble person. That's what I learned. But I could see, and I did see, the other doctors that I was around had such egos that the residents were either walking on eggshells, me, or put up this front of super ego that actually fought against our attendings. I don't even know how they didn't get fired, to be honest, because they were so bickering. I just couldn't believe it, okay? So I don't want to give doctors a free pass. We do some things that is very disgraceful, and demanding that you worship us and put us on a high pedestal. One, I don't even want to be there, okay? I do not want to be there, because as much as I want to help you take care of yourself, a part of me says that if I didn't do a very good job, guess what? You're going to suffer from that. And so if I'm open about it when I see patients or talk to clients online through consultations, I want to let them know that this is mutual. This is something that we can do together. We're a team, and let's talk it through, okay? The paternal or the maternalistic way of doctoring, where I know best and I'm going to tell you what to do, I just don't think it's very healthy, okay? Lion says, good morning, Dr. J. I had a testosterone test this week, and it was 340. That is the low end of normal, from 300 to 1100. Do you feel it is low? And do you have ideas to raise it? I would want to know, Lion, what is your free testosterone? I would also want to know what your estradiol level is. So if a doctor just sees a total testosterone and it is usually less than 350, they will call that low T. It is very hard for a doctor to admit patients have low T because they don't want to treat it. They will refer you to urology, and then urology won't treat it. They don't want to get in the weeds of treating people with hormones. So then patients will simply go to one of those HRT, hormone replacement therapy clinics, and get whatever they want. And I want to caution against that. But if Lion is eating a carnivore diet and his body fat is down to, normal, less than 10% body fat, he's burning body fat, no liver fat is present, no belly fat is present, then I would look at that free T. If free T is elevated, that is a good thing. That means you don't need much total T and you have a lot of free T, which is the usable form. You don't need to treat that with more testosterone because your free T is already high. Now, if you're not the description, if you have a lot of belly fat, you have a lot of liver fat, even though you're keto or carnivore, your belly fat tells me, or your liver fat tells me, that your estrogen level is likely high. So your testosterone is aromatizing to estrogen. Men who have high belly fat will have what I consider a little ovary in their belly fat. And that ovary, it's not really an ovary, but the fat has aromatase in it. That's the enzyme that aromatizes testosterone to estrogen. Remember, all estrogens start out as an androgen. They start out as testosterone. So in a female, we have an ovary that will aromatize testosterone to estrogen. That's how we get our estrogen. But men, although they need estrogen, don't want as much estrogen as what their body is producing. It's aromatizing because of the amount of belly fat they have that has aromatase enzyme. So if you keep giving that man more testosterone, there's more testosterone to aromatize to estrogen. That would not be in that man's best interest, I don't think, okay? You have less ability to burn that body fat. If you don't get into a ketogenic state and insulin is high and you keep giving testosterone, that man is just going to get fatter. It's much harder because of insulin being high. No matter how much testosterone you give, the insulin is the hormone that everybody listens to. And so if insulin is high, you're going to get fatter, okay? No matter if testosterone's on board or not, all right? So to answer your question, Lion, I would ask yourself, what does my body fat look like? 2, I would get a free testosterone and an estradiol level at minimum, okay? I would get that at minimum. I would also get a DHT level. You could get a prolactin level. You can get an LH or an FSH, okay? Those are, but honestly, I could see a lot from a total T, a free T, and an estradiol level. And then I just look at your body and I go, yep, now I know. Now I know why it's low. If you are losing body fat, you're on a ketogenic diet and your body fat, your belly fat is coming down and you're having a hard time increasing your total free T, I would try to increase your fat content, okay? I would play around with the fat content of my diet. I would play around with the protein content. So if you would like to talk about it, Lion, schedule a consult and we can go over everything, okay? Dirty Muffle, I don't understand your question. Yeah, Bella, I agree. Doctors should be willing to learn. See, I believe what happens is because of all of the training, a doctor feels that they have learned everything that they need to know, okay? And everything becomes a recipe. And they might not believe that, or they might, but the time consumption of learning something new is just not in their daytime schedule. They're seeing so many patients while at work. Then they spend time clickety-clacking doing the notes or the charts if the scribe has not done it already for them. Usually, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, when a doctor goes into the room, there's always somebody in there with them now, and they're actually doing all the scribing. They're entering all of the data, putting it into templates, and the note is already done in order for that person, that doctor, to see more and more patients. So they're not even doing the note, maybe. Their scribe is. I mean, think about that. So if you go and get your notes and the scribe was just cutting corners and put, yeah, you're obese and well nourished and you're alert and oriented and you're in no apparent distress and came in crying, yeah, that is basically laziness and not going through the note and changing to the day that you're there. It's hard for me to explain, but yeah, I just don't think. And then when doctors get done after they do their clickety clack, they're out the door. They want to be with their families. They want to do things. They might want to go work out. They're not sitting around reading journals and podcasts of other doctors. They're not doing any of these things. You know, I've asked my doctor friends, I don't have very many, but when I ask them, I said, hey, where do you get your education? Or how do you keep learning stuff? Oh, I just do CME. Well, CME is written by continuing medical education. It's written by the exact same people who write our board questions. It's written by the exact same people who did the whole curriculum for medical school. You never, by doing CME, which I do, I have to plug my nose. It stinks so bad. I have to do the CME because it's required. But there's very little CME outside of what sponsored studies have been showing us, okay? You know what I'm talking about. It's driven one way. And there's very little of seeing outside of the blinders. And so you could expect that if you're seeing 40 patients a day, you got a scribe doing your notes, you want to get out of the office as fast as you can so you can be with your family and do the things, you're not going to be doing any extra learning. Now, I started doing extra learning because I went from seeing 40 patients a day to 10 or 15. I opened up my own practice 14 years ago. And I said to myself, I can't keep doing what I'm doing and because I'm not being a very good doctor. I remember saying that. I remember saying it to my dad. Dad, he would ask me, how was your day? And I go, oh, it's not very good. Well, why wasn't it very good? Do you have some tough patients? And I go, it wasn't just that. I gave terrible medicine. I gave terrible advice. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, they're just in and out. It was horrible. It was horrible. And he knew what I meant. I was not being the best I could be. And yes, I was suffering because I believe I'm an empathetic, compassionate person, but you guys suffer the most from a doctor who just follows the guidelines and the recipes and does not think outside the box. And if it wasn't for patients that really started showing me things outside of the box, I have them to thank. I might have hated it at the time because they were telling me how wrong I was and, you know, how ignorant I was. And I said, how can I be so ignorant? I went to medical school and you are blah, blah, blah. See how our defense mechanisms go up? But they were kind and gentle to me. And slowly I started reading and listening and I thank them. I totally thank them. And they know who they are. I don't know if they listen, but they know who they are. There's like 4 or 5 of you guys. And most of them are men. Imagine that. Okay? So usually men in general, don't like to tell women doctors what to do. Okay? I've just gotten that sense, but not these guys. Bella says, Doc, have you ever had a discussion about glycine? I have not. It has helped me tremendously with pain, inflammation, and essential amino acids. You could say that glycine could be the most important. You could say leucine is the most important. You could go choline, carnitine, carnosine, all of these. I think the newest thing, Bella, is that glycine supplementation is going to be a thing. And I believe there will be a lot of studies in terms of cancers going on, okay? So just keep your eyes open for it. Thanks for sharing, Bella, your experience with using glycine as a exogenous supplement. You have to wonder if you're eating the whole animal. Like I eat the whole animal. I'll eat heart, I'll eat liver, I do some bone broth. So I'm trying to eat all parts of the animal. I believe if somebody just ate muscle meat, we might be deficient in some amino acids. I've been doing it long enough, and I've heard other people, most of the other doctors or influencers, I don't think, besides Dr. Chafee, he says he only eats muscle meat. He only eats the muscle. I don't know if, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, does he eat organ meats? I mean, he said he doesn't eat salt. He said he only drinks water. But has he ever said he eats organ meats? I've never really heard him say that, but I could be totally wrong. He might be the only carnivore that truly sticks to muscle meat, and he's doing fine. So he says, okay? But if you guys are thinking about doing carnivore, we need to make sure that you're eating basically nose to tail. You don't need to eat everything in between, but you need to get some organ meat, okay? And it's not all that bad. Once you get used to it, you get used to it. I know it sounds untasty, but I kind of grew up on liver and onions from my grandmother, so I knew that taste. Chicken heart, if you want to start with hearts, chicken hearts are the least amount of gaminess, but now I get it from my deer fanatics who hunt. I will say, hey, don't hesitate to give me the scraps. One, I want to give it to my dogs, and two, I want to eat it too. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, I want it all. Don't hesitate. So if you're going to do those things, I also consume sardines. I personally am not carnivore. I add in dairy. I eat a little bit of cottage cheese. I eat a little bit of aged cheese. I mean, I am not strictly just eating beef. Occasionally I'll eat some chicken. Occasionally I'll take a few bites of turkey. I love it. It just doesn't give me that satisfaction that a ruminant meat. Cow, beef, bison, buffalo, sheep, lamb. I get more deer. I get more out of that. I love deer. But that taste has to grow on you, just like everything else. You have to just get used to it. But I can actually taste the sweetness in my meat. I know it sounds crazy, but meat does have some galactose or some sugar aspect, okay? And so, yeah, I can taste it. I can actually smell it. I can smell the sweetness of meat. Fabian asks, hi doc, does androgel can help? Can help with low T? Again, androgel is a type of testosterone replacement, and that is an older one. I don't want to say older one. It's an older option because most men are going to replacement clinics and either doing sub-Q testosterone or they're doing IM testosterone. And so hearing men use Testim, Testim, or androgel is kind of old. But you have to look at the type of testosterone that's in there. And then also what other esters are in there that are filling. What else is going through your skin? Because those are topical. Androgel, Testim. I mean, there's even troches that you can put in between your cheek and gum, like tobacco. Like chewing tobacco, they come in a little thing. They can do pellets. They can put pellets in your butt that have testosterone in them. Again, all of these testosterone supplements, I would first ask, what are all your levels? What is your diet? What is your insulin? Do you have diabetes? Do you have all of these things? Okay. I, in the past, have gone to clinics or to CMEs, and it was the group is not from the United States. I believe it's called A4M, and they treat their clients, men, with testosterone, either enanthate or cypionate, usually not propionate because it is so short acting that you would need to actually dose it every single day, and not very many people want to do that for years and years and years, okay? They will actually use DECA. It's another long-acting anabolic steroid. DECA is long-acting. It's it holds water. It can be used in conjunction with testosterone. And these clinics, usually outside of the United States, are treating diabetes with that. They're treating metabolic dysfunction with testosterone. I don't know what they're educating their patients on as far as diet is concerned. I do not know. Okay? I don't know. But these clinics outside of the United States, and they come to the United States and do these CMEs. And I'm just trying to think of some of their doctors' names. They've got to be now, because this was, gosh, maybe 15 to 20 years ago, I was going to these because I was really into it. Because of my bodybuilding, I really wanted to know the hormones. I wanted to know hormones like the back of my hand. I did not like to treat with hormone replacement with my patients. I might have had 20 patients in the 27 years, maybe 25 patients in all of those years that I actually treated, and I watched over them like a hawk with their labs. I just did not like to treat it. And then when these clinics started popping up, they started veering off into those, which is fine because I didn't want to treat them anyway. You know, a part of me said, you know, if you wouldn't eat the way you eat and not sleep as good and not exercise, you wouldn't be in the boat you're in, okay? And a lot of times, the men who were on exogenous testosterone already would come in after not dosing themselves for a few weeks to a month in order to get prescriptions. So if men, and you could tell, geez, you would know if they were on testosterone or not, especially if they worked out, if you know what I mean, okay? They would be muscle bound, and they could get a reading very, very, very low, 200, and need refills of their testosterone because they just simply did not dose themselves for a month or 6 weeks. They were probably miserable during those 6 weeks, but yeah, their testosterone levels would plummet because they have been giving themselves exogenous testosterone, and it will shut down normal endogenous, meaning their testicles would stop producing testosterone. So can androgel or all of these other testosterone supplements help you? Maybe. But they're also going to shut your natural production down, and you will be a lifelong customer to testosterone. Unless, of course, you just stop, and then I believe you could be miserable, okay? 1910 says, my doc uses some kind of service on an iPhone to scribe. It's likely voice activated. Is that correct, 1910? I've never used a scribe. I always did mine. I actually handwritten out mine and then typed it all myself so I knew that I was not missing anything. And it took an extreme amount of my time. I knew there were better ways. And now AI can scribe it for you. But a lot of times the scribe is right on not only your iPhone, but it's on the computer programming. So whatever, you know, if you go into a corporate medicine, they will have bought Auscripts or some other platform, Epic, and their platform will already have these things in it, and they could be typing things out as the doctor is talking, and it naturally puts it where it needs to go. I mean, automation is amazing, and I was doing it basically all by hand. I was so old-fashioned, it was unbelievable. But those days are gone. I now see, my consultations per day, I spend a lot of time with, okay? It's a lot of time. I look things up. They send their labs well in advance, you know, sometimes upwards to a week in advance, if not a few days, where I go and I evaluate their labs. I could spend 2 hours evaluating their labs ahead of time, and then I will at least spend an hour with them to go over them. Then I'll spend another hour doing their chart. because I still do charts. I want to be able to review the charts. Some people who do consultations don't make chart notes. You know, like if you go to a coach or somebody like that, because I'm in the doctor business, my whole for 27 years is to make a chart note. Take notes, whether it be with pencil and paper, or now we do it on a computer. So I do a chart note on everybody. If they come back to me, like in 6 months or a year, I want to look back at that chart note instead of them having to relay everything back to me. But a lot of coaches don't know to do notes anywhere. I mean, you could do it maybe on an Excel spreadsheet or a Word program or something like that, but it's difficult to memorize. But what I'm trying to say is, when people do a consultation with me, it's about 4 hours of my time spent going over everything. Now, some are easier than that and some are harder than that, but that's what you get when you get a consultation with me, okay? Uncle Charlie is in the house. He's down 176 pounds. Just got out of a 38-degree cold plunge for 3 minutes. That sounds chilly, Uncle Charlie. Just make sure that you are not doing this around your workouts, okay? Try not to do them around your workouts. Split the timing up. Don't do a cold plunge and then go, well, you could do the cold plunge first and then go do your workout, but I wouldn't do a cold plunge after the workout. If you want a surefire way of decreasing your testosterone, that might be it. So to play it safe, Uncle Charlie, and you're working out and doing the thing, I would not do a cold plunge around my workout time. Fabian says, here in Belgium, they take me for a crazy person because I do ice baths, cold showers, and when I talk about carnivore diet or TRT, everybody says I'm on another planet. I mean, likely, you know, Fabian, I think that some of Americans would probably say the exact same thing who have opened their eyes and see what you see. We would probably, those people would get the wide open eyes and saying that you're crazy and from a different planet. So I think it's everywhere, but thanks for sharing that. And thanks for being here from Belgium. We appreciate you. Uncle Charlie says his 176 pounds is all about the carnivore diet. Tonight, shrimp platter from Costco. Can I have the sauce? Uncle Charlie, that is up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you can or cannot have. You know that the sauce will have some sugar in it. If you are more insulin sensitive, your muscle mass is up, you might be able to handle a little sauce. You might even be able to handle a tiny bit of rice with your shrimp or a tiny bit of potato with your shrimp. I don't know. Am I pushing you toward that? No, of course I'm not. I'm not pushing you one way or the other. I'm just trying to give you information. So maybe your shrimp platter from Costco and a tiny little bit of sauce isn't going to be a detriment to you, okay? I don't know. But again, some people, if they say, you know what, I think I'm gonna have some shrimp and I'm gonna have a little bit of sauce with it, and then they'll eat something else and go, well, you know what, I'm just gonna add a little bit of condiment here and a condiment there and a little sauce and a little, and finally, and then by the time, you know, Uncle Charlie turns around, he's gained his 176 pounds back again. Now, I don't think that sounds like our Uncle Charlie who's listening right now, but I'm just saying, hey, it's possible. Once we've had an eating disorder, you know, or, you know, an alcoholic, we don't say, I think I'm going to test the waters and see how the alcoholic can test a little bit of alcohol right now. It's not a good thing. Or a smoker, I'll just test the waters and give them a cigarette. Probably not in your best interest, okay? You have to know yourself better than that. Bella says, no, I'm not eating the whole animal. Maybe consider it. Just add some organ meat, a liver, kidney, heart. I mean, you could get a cow heart and actually slice it up as steaks. I've actually saw Dr. Ovadia, stay off my operating table, Dr. Ovadia, Dr. Philip Ovadia. I've actually seen videos of him slicing up the heart and putting it on the grill. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate your gift. You guys, that really helps me. It means a lot that you think that my information is beneficial to you and sending a gift or doing super chats or super stickers or super whatevers they are, it really does mean a lot to me, and they add up, and I appreciate it. So thank you. That's how we keep this channel going. I am no longer in my office, okay? I no longer see patients in a physical office. I completely went online. It was a huge step, okay? And I have to thank my nurse. I believe I probably hated her at first. She wanted to retire early. Derek, thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Yeah, if it wasn't for her, I would never be where I'm at. I was trying to build up an online practice, but her telling me, hey, you know what? I think she gave me 6 months, which is unheard of. She gave me 6 months notice. We originally planned for December of 2026. So that would have been this year. She told me in December of 2024 that she wanted to retire in 6 months. So that put me at April. It was October of 2024. So that put me at April of 2025. And I had to decide. And my gut instinct told me, don't try to hire somebody else. You already know that there was no money to be made. And it was miserable fighting the insurance companies and paying the billers. And it got too much. So this is the best thing that has happened to me. And I know what looks bad, God uses what things that you think is bad for your own good. And this was definitely for my own good. So yeah, I'm an online doctor now. I'm an online doctor coach. I like to be called a doctor coach. I want to coach you into health. I want to be in your back pocket, helping you talk to your doctor. Because I believe everybody needs help. Really. Yesterday I took my mom to a doctor, and they said, do you have any questions? And before we went there, she had all of these questions. And I said, okay, be sure to talk to the doctor. When they asked her, hey, do you have any questions? She goes, no. And I said, what? How about blah, 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 blah. And she goes, and she just looks at me. So I know if she's doing it, you guys are doing it. You get in there and they'll say, hey, do you have any questions? And you say, no, then you never get your questions. And they just go about their deal. Okay? You guys, it's so bad. It's so bad. You need to be your own advocate. Okay? You got to be your own advocate. Fabian says, nowadays you can't know which supplement to take because it is so big of a business. I agree. Fabian, I am not. Thank you, Forever Cowgirl. Dr. J's consults are 1,000 times worth it. Thank you. And Lion, best doctor coach around. Thank you, Lion. Thank you, Forever Cowgirl. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the kudos. It means a lot. And I'm so glad to help you guys. And if I'm not helping you, you have to tell me. Say, hey, you know what? I think you're slacking a little bit. Let's look into this a little deeper. I need your smarts here. And they usually do. They will give me some oddball questions that I got to look up. And that keeps me on my toes. I like it. Yes, when I hear the word supplement, Fabian, I think to myself that your diet is bad, that you need to take supplements. A diet that is nutritionally dense should not need supplements. Do I know that people who are on a carnivore eating nose to tail still supplement with things? Yes. They might take creatine. They might take vitamin D. They might take magnesium. Whatever it is. Yes, there are certain people out there who do that, okay? But it's not the norm. I think we should be very cautious about what we're putting in our body. Everybody's got something to sell us. Thank you, Angie, for the gift. I wanted to make sure that you knew I saw that. I appreciate it. You guys are very generous today, and I appreciate that. I think everybody online has something to sell us. And I want you to know, and I'm not trying to give myself kudos, but I just need you to know this, is that there is not a day that goes by that I don't either get several emails or several inbox, usually on Instagram, that want me to collaborate with their product, whatever it is. It could be a mattress, or it could be creatine, or it could be, whatever supplement, new vitamin D. It's got some lipogenic, whatever. It's going to be, it's got the best absorption and blood. I mean, it's daily. And I write back, thanks for thinking of me, but not at this time. And that's what I do. Because in my heart, if I would be trying to sell you a supplement when I'm consulting with you, if I was selling you a supplement, I'm going to actually make more money on your return buying supplements than I will make on a consultation. So if I charge you $110 for your consultation, if I can get you to buy one of my supplements, it's ongoing. It's like having a consultation with you once a month. And so you might only consult with me once or twice a year, but I get your repeat business by selling you a supplement that I saw that you were low in. But instead of telling you what caused the low value, I'm just going to sell you that supplement. And I don't think that's ethical. Okay? There's a lot of people that do that. I'm just not one of them. And I want you guys to know that. That's how I feel about it. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. Would I love to do a consultation with you? Yes, because I want to coach you into health. Okay? But I don't have anything else to sell you. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Over here. Bella says, there's a doctor I follow that has supplements made solely from bison and is switching to another type of animal, which escapes me at the moment. Maybe lamb. I mean, out of beef or lamb, I think lamb probably has the most nutrients, but I don't know. And Bella, you have to take it, you have to decide for yourself. I don't want to tell you what to do with your money. But for me, if I'm going to eat a couple different types of liver, beef, and I like pork liver, okay, I like liver from a pig, and I eat chicken hearts, so I'm getting 3 different animals here. I'm eating some sardines for the vitamin A and vitamin D. I'm doing these things. I feel that I don't necessarily need to take a supplement that I don't know is really what it is. Because is there really a way to tell if it's real? I don't know. It might make you feel better. There's a couple of supplements that I would say I'm probably not going to go without. And it could be because of my diet, but I think just in general, everybody is low on iodine. And they're low on iodine mostly because they drink tap water. They drink city water, which is fluoridated in most cities. And that can get us into trouble because any other halide besides iodine, the halides block the absorption of iodine. So fluoride, which is in our water, it's in our toothpaste, it blocks the absorption of iodine. Chloride is a halide that blocks iodine absorption. So chloride's in a lot of things. It's even in our water. Bromide is a halide. Bromide will block the absorption of iodine. Where's bromide? It's a flame retardant as one of its things, and it's in everything. It's in all of our clothing. It's on our carpet. It's on our furniture. Bromide is incorporated into everything. So we are being inundated with bromide on a regular basis. So most everybody is low on iodine, and iodine is needed for every cell. Why we are not seeing a lot of iodine deficiencies? I believe we are. And the reason I say that is I'm seeing so many hypothyroids, that it can't be a coincidence. Do I check iodine levels? I do not. It's difficult. And there are people who do check their own iodine levels by putting topical iodine. I don't know how good that is, But there is a book that you should probably look into, and it's by Brownstein. I think it's David Brownstein, Dr. Brownstein. He's, I would say, an iodine guru, okay? Thank you, Forever Cowgirl. My Doc J has integrity. Yeah, that's something that I take great pride in, okay? So I don't know who the doctor is, and I don't know what they're switching to another animal, but it could be lamb. Uncle Charlie says, Dr. Drew is on it. Dr. Drew is on what? Yeah, Uncle Charlie, I believe that the carnivore saved your life. I can wholeheartedly agree with that. Okay, what? Bella says, I'm not solely carnivore, but started eating mostly meat, and I dropped 20 pounds without trying. My doctor was pleasantly surprised. Congratulations, Bella. That is awesome to hear. Fabian says, Doc, how come Italians eat a lot of carbs and live so long? Could be a number of things. One, if you're speaking of Italy, maybe their carbs are not like ours, okay? They are not processed like ours. I don't know. I'm in America. One, I don't know what living so long means. And are you living so long, but you're living with diseases? Are you living, it's quality and quantity. So it's great to have a quantity of life, but you also want to have quality of life. So, if you're living longer than 90 years old, but you're living with diabetes, congestive heart failure, obstructive sleep apnea, and all of these things, then I really can't say that that is healthier, okay? Again, I don't know what you're referring to, and I would need more information, but that's just my thoughts on it. They might also be eating more meat. If they're eating these types of carbs that are in pastas, they might be eating less of other grains, less lectins, less phytates, less oxalates, less of everything. So I don't know exactly what, you're referring to. Fabian says durabolin. Yes, that one. Vinix says, love from India. Thank you for being here. Oh, Drexel, I can't answer that question. You're 32, you're in the prime of your life. Don't think about dying. Think about all the things that you can do in this world for the glory of God. He's got you here for a reason. So you're 32, and thinking about how much longer you have to live, or how much shape you have to be in to live before it's all over. Yeah, don't have those thoughts. Just start working on your health now. You're 32. Half the people who listen to me are 50, and you've got 18 years on them to get healthier and not spend as much time in dysfunction as they have, okay? So you're on the uphill battle already. You're already doing the things that you need to do. So get in shape, yes. That getting in shape means it incorporates your diet, which is, let's just put it bluntly, low processed food, low carb, low seed oils, okay? Those are the things that cause inflammation in your body and increase the risk of chronic disease, okay? So following that type of diet, getting sleep, getting 8 hours of sleep, restful sleep every night. Exercising. When I say exercising, incorporating resistance training. Simply doing cardio is not going to be in your best interest as far as health is concerned. I'm not saying it's unhealthy, but there's something better. It's called resistance training or high intensity interval training. HIIT. That is good for you. Getting outside in nature, being in the sun, getting out from under the blue lights, the LED lights. Thinking positive and being around positive people, decreasing your stress. standing barefoot on the ground and soaking up God's energy on the ground. These are all things that when you're getting in shape, that's what it includes to me, okay? So getting in shape doesn't necessarily mean, lifting weights. Although there's a time I thought that if you're in shape, you got a lot of muscle, okay? Hi, Smothered Pork Chops. That's a great handle. Smothered pork chops over rice. I've never had that. I've had pork chops, never over rice. I've had pork chops and applesauce, and I've had pork chops and hash browns. Not for a very, very, very long time. But those are our family's go-to. Truth Seeker says, why would lower estrogen in menopause cause worsening insulin resistance? And what can you do to make insulin work more efficiently besides low carb? It's the fact when insulin gets so high, hyperinsulinemia is insulin resistance. It's like double-edged sword, okay? You can't have insulin resistance without hyperinsulinemia. Once the cells shut themselves down to insulin, there's no going back unless the insulin level comes down. You cannot make your body more sensitive to insulin until the insulin levels come down. You could try to gain so much muscle that it can take up some of the sugar. It's a reservoir. Muscle is a reservoir for sugar. The liver is a reservoir for sugar, but it can only hold so much. And anytime we have sugar, glucose elevated, that's just going to simply elevate insulin. So in all essence, is there a more important way to lower insulin than to go low carb or no carb? No. You could lower your cortisol, but that's only a part of the puzzle. That's your stress. Or increase your sleep. That's going to lower your fight or flight chemicals that you're secreting. Why is estrogen increasing the risk of insulin resistance? Because estrogen makes a woman like a superhero. It makes her burn fat. She might have more fat on her body with estrogen, but she is a fat burning machine. I know that sounds crazy. You would think it would be testosterone, but honestly, her estrogen is a fat burning machine. It tells her where she's going to store it, where she's going to store fat. Is it going to be on the breasts, the butt, the inner thighs, the lateral thighs? Estrogen is that, but it's also a fat burning machine. So even though the woman who says, well, my diet didn't change, but I keep getting fatter. Well, back in the day, her estrogen helped her burn fat. No matter how high her insulin went, her estrogen was still trying to help out. But a woman that goes into menopause and never changes their diet, they just told me that they never changed their diet, their estrogen levels went down and their insulin level was still high. They were eating crapola, breakfast, lunch, and supper. And so now all of those fat cells that are still on the body get fatter because insulin is high and estrogen is low. So doctors will check the estrogen. Oh yeah, you're menopausal. Here's your estrogen. Well, that doesn't solve anything. You can't just give exogenous estrogen and make up for the higher and higher insulin that's occurring. Does that make sense? But that is one thing that is going on, Truth Seeker, with the lower estrogen in menopause, okay? But do I know of another way besides a low-carb diet? You would really have to exercise a lot and to have a lot of muscle to take up your diet, okay? How do probiotic foods like kimchi get to your gut since they have to pass through gastric acids? It's the bacteria which are located in the colon that does the fermenting on these things. Talking about our food when it comes to stomach acid is difficult. The stomach acid normally likes to be between 1 and 3. And I could see where you could think that kimchi or already fermented foods, which would help with probiotic or a prebiotic, basically, could help. It still gets some through. Same with kefir. But what I would say to make the kimchi more absorbable is to wrap it around steak. So if you wrapped it around, if you ate it at the same time, if you put your yogurt or your kefir, take a swig of kefir and, with your steak, then it's possible that the bacteria will change, okay? Now, with that being said, I believe that we build up bacteria that eat the food that we feed it. So if I'm eating all animal products, I'm going to build up bacteria that eat animal products, okay? Do I eat yogurt and kefir and kimchi? No, I don't. And I feel that I believe if my bacteria were not good in my body, I would start seeing signs. And I would see gut signs. I might see bloating and gas and cramping and all of those things, okay? I might also see skin things occurring. Your skin will get worse. It gets more inflamed. It could be red. It could be dry, scaly, eczematous, psoriatic. Those are signs that I would look for. Also spots. If you're starting to see increasing amounts of brown spots on your body, that is inflammatory. That's due to glycation. That's due to oxidation. That is not simply just the sun, okay? So if you're on a animal-based diet and you're seeing things reversing, like your skin, dark spots are reversing in color, that means that oxidation is going down. Glycation is going down. Things are, I don't want to say reversing, but in a way, you're slowing down the aging process. Gut bacteria, yes, are very important, but adding things or adding probiotics or prebiotics or things like that, I'm not on board with. And until I get more evidence from other doctors that are eating carnivore and say, hey, you know what? I think we've missed the boat. We need more certain bacteria. Then I'm on board, okay? But right now, I'm not, okay? So JD, I don't do probiotics. I don't change my diet. And the bacteria that are in me are consuming the foods that I'm putting in my body, okay? Oh yeah, 1910. I imagine that. I mean, I looked into Epic when I first started out on my own, and oh my gosh, everything is a la carte. So you'll get a base plan, and then if you want this, it's an extra. If you want this, everything's a la carte. I wasn't even making that much money. I couldn't even make that much money in a month to be able to pay my Epic bill or those other ones. Fabian says, I tried androgel and I got crazy, no sleep, aggressive, sexual drive up 5 times a day, emotional tunnel. I can't believe I could have been that sad and bad with a gel. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's different, Fabian, but there's got to be some other things in the... Oh yeah, thank you, Fabian. This is your reminder. Please, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button for me. If you're not already subscribed, it really helps. It helps me get this channel out to more people. And please share it. Share it with your favorite other platform, like X or whatever it might be. Instagram, Facebook, please just share it. Nut milk or soy milk, no and no. Those are plants. They're going to they're going to increase your estrogen, decrease your testosterone. They're high in lectins. They're a plant. And I stay away from plants as much as possible, with the exception of my coffee. What about cow milk? Do I drink cow milk? No, I do not. I drink cream from a cow, grass-fed, organic, heavy cream. I probably have 2 ounces a day, maybe 3. So is that cow milk? Yeah, I guess it is. It's the cream. I don't drink just regular milk. Not particularly a carnivore channel, Sean. It's a health channel. It's for information purposes only. Thank you, Fabian. Let's see. Dirty Muffler says, what are your thoughts about incorporating mushrooms into a carnivore type dietary regimen? Again, prior to about 3 or 4 years, I bet it's been 3 years ago, I used to do a multi-blend of mushrooms and algae and spirulina and all of these supplements. I was big into supplements 3 or 4 years ago. When I saw Dr. Anthony Chafee, he did a YouTube, I don't want to say a podcast. He did a lecture series on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube. I don't know where else it was at. Plants are trying to kill you. And after I watched that video, that lecture series, I did not go back to plants. I'm pretty sure it was the next day that I stopped all plants except for coffee. Now, I'm not telling Dirty Muffler what to do, but I've leaned away from taking in any type of plants. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't even notice that when I went off of them, I didn't notice a change. Nothing. So I don't know if they were doing anything. I don't even know if they truly were mushrooms. We don't know. It was brown powder. Alex, if you're trying to lose 10 pounds and you need help, consider consultation and we can go over everything together. So you can email me at IronLadyDoc, IronLadyDoc at AOL.com. So IronLadyDoc at AOL.com. Vince says, just remember, all of them using those diabetes pens. I'm guessing you mean the GLPs, like Wegovy, Zepbound, Trulicity, Mounjaro, Ozempic, Saxenda, Victoza, all of those GLPs for weight loss will be on them forever, and we'll see what the side effects are. We will, Vince. The people who are taking them right now are guinea pigs. I do not know of a study that has ever studied the doses that we are putting patients on, the high doses. This is over and above. It's called supraphysiologic doses, meaning a physiologic dose of GLP is something in our body, in our gut, that makes a certain level of GLP. I believe our muscles make a little bit of GLP as well, but mainly it's made in our gut, okay? And we are giving doses in extreme excess of what our body makes. And yeah, I agree with Vince. You guys are all guinea pigs who are taking it, and we will see the repercussions. It might be in 5 years, it might be in 10 years, but I think we'll be seeing it. And until the person learns how to eat without consuming processed foods, seed oils, and sugar, they will continuously need their GLP if they don't want to gain weight. But I have several patients in my past who could eat through high doses. They were they were obese and they could eat through it. They wouldn't get nausea. I mean, the doses they were on, when they would tell me they dosed it over and above what I prescribed, the doses they were on and still gaining weight is amazing. I said, you're not nauseated? Yeah, but it was worth it to eat. And I said, well, then there's no reason to be on these medications, okay? You're taking in a chemical that is not doing what it's meant to be doing. So, yeah, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. If I didn't already thank you for the gift, I thank you. You're welcome, Bella. Let me see. That's just really not necessary. Some of the comments on here are just really not necessary. Hi, Sean. Thanks for being here. If you guys have a question, just put a Q in front of it so I can pick it out a little bit better. Jim Rat says, I've never seen or heard of you, but what I'm hearing, I love it. Thank you for the compliment and for the kudos, Jim Rat. Thanks for being here. If you've never been here or seen me, can you hit the thumbs up and can you hit the subscribe button? I would really appreciate it. Fabian says, there's no other doc like you. I don't know if I could say that. I bet you'll find several that are like me, but maybe they're just not speaking with such honesty. I think a lot of docs feel the way I do, but may not say it. So you don't know that they are or not, but thank you for the compliment. Oh, what is the best natural antibiotic? I would say honey mixed with something like, we're talking antibiotics, so antibiotics are temporary, and this is not medical advice. And I would never tell you to take a natural antibiotic when you need an antibiotic and it could save your life, okay? So with that being said, I would say honey and turmeric and apple cider vinegar, a combination of 3 or 4 of those things. I don't know an exact recipe, so please don't ask me. It might be a teaspoon of each of those things. Stir it up, take it twice a day. I don't know exactly. If I was you, I would probably look it up. I'm just being honest with you, but those seem like they would be the best. You know, you got an anti-inflammatory, you got a natural antibiotic in the honey, you got some it said the turmeric, the apple cider vinegar, you're gonna help with your pH, and short chain fatty acids. Yeah, that's where I'm going right now, but again, I would probably have to look it up. But thanks for the question, I appreciate it. Bella says, I used to do that with doctors until I started listening to you. Well, thank you, Bella, but I want you to not only listen to me, but I want you to listen to other doctors. And that's what I did. And I still listen to other doctors. One of my favorites, and he never does videos. He never does podcasts or anything. His complete way of teaching online is via just writing it out or screenshots of what he wrote out. And it's Dr. Elie Gerarge, E-L-L-E, Gerarge, J-A-R-O-U-G-E, something like that. I love his material. I really do. I love his material. I love the way he teaches. He's very straightforward, and he never has done a I mean, I've seen him one time, and he started out obese. Maybe not obese. He was overweight. And now the transformation in him and his beliefs are he's so passionate. I just love it about him. And I've maybe talked to him a few times. You know, I'll comment on his stuff and talk to him, and we think a lot alike. So he's just one, but I follow numerous, okay? I follow numerous doctors because I want to get an idea of what they're saying. Even ones that I don't agree with, or agree with 75% of it and not 25%. So I still listen. I try to. Sometimes I just go, oh, I can't do it anymore, and then I turn it off. But I got enough out of it that I know where they're going. Jim Rat says, 100% agree. People need to be their own advocates of their health. That is so important. I'm a doctor, just as a reminder. I would never put 100% of my chips in a doctor. I've seen, if you've seen what I've seen, the things that come back, my patients telling me things, no. There's no way. There's no way. I seriously would never put 100% of my chips into a doctor. I couldn't do it, especially today. Maybe if I was born with a little house on the prairie and I was born and I lived during those times and there was only one town doctor, yeah, I would put all my chips in and trust him. But otherwise, no. No, they have a different agenda. Doctors have an agenda too. They have an agenda to survive, and they will survive off of you. We are humans, all humans. You will not see anybody sacrificing their life for you, okay? Just trust me. The only person that would do that is Jesus, and he did it. And if you believe in him, you will have eternal life. So please be an advocate for yourself, educate yourself, read books, watch podcasts, listen, do what you need to do to educate yourself, and you will make the best decisions for yourself. You're just getting some coaching from me, okay? Lion asks, during winter months with limited sunlight, do you limit tanning beds? Do you limited tanning beds be okay? I'm guessing would limited tanning beds be okay? I think you can get some vitamin D from tanning beds. I would have to study up on, I used to know this about the different wavelengths. I really can't remember if it's UVB and UVA. I'd have to revisit that. I'm sorry. Sean, thank you for the gift. I appreciate that. I think if somebody is metabolically unhealthy, I would not get in a tanning bed. Okay. You're just increasing your risk of cancer. If you are metabolically healthy, and again, I would say eating an animal-based diet, then I think that a tanning bed is good for your emotional well-being as well as some hormone production. And it's great warmth in winter months that are cold. But again, I would not recommend it for anybody who has metabolic dysfunction. Okay. Oh, there's a good one. Thank you, Bella. Colloidal silver. I forgot all about that. But yeah, I used to, I would use it as a spray for topical wounds. But again, I have not had a wound for a long time. So good call on that, Bella. Appreciate you guys adding to the comments. That makes a world of difference. I appreciate it. Oops. Okay. I'm gonna try to. What is this stream about? It is about health. Hello, Simon. Thanks for being here. Sean says, I found my home, a doctor who is pro-carnivore. Let's go. Let's go. I think that's how you said that. Bella, magnesium has helped my heart palpitations tremendously. Okay. Good point, Bella, and I'm glad to hear that because we do not want you having heart palpitations. But why was your magnesium low? Ask yourself why the magnesium was low, okay? Remember that magnesium and potassium ride together. So if magnesium was low and you checked your magnesium, what was your potassium level? Because usually people who eat too much sodium, too much salt, too much sodium could lower their potassium. And if they lower their potassium, they could lower their magnesium, which is it would be almost a sure deal because they ride together. So instead of just simply taking magnesium, what was your red blood cell magnesium level? Could you, I'm just saying, by taking magnesium, increase your magnesium so high, your potassium goes high, and then you get into a heart block and you die of a heart attack because your potassium is too high. That is why I don't believe in taking supplements willy-nilly without checking your levels. Okay? Hunter-gatherer, Brian, I am here every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. And honestly, I did not know that we could advertise inside the low carb or the carnivore worldwide website, or not website, channel, if you guys are on Instagram, Brian, can you please tell them what the channel name is so I don't mess it up? But there is a carnivore, worldwide carnivore channel that, you know, you can join and be in a community of other carnivore people. Again, would I consider myself completely carnivore? No, I would not. Am I animal-based? Yes. Am I ketogenic? Absolutely. Am I ketovore? Probably. But it is a place, if you ever have questions, you can go to and talk to people. And from watching it, I sense that everybody is a team and a team member, and they're not hurting each other. Now, I've never been in a vegan community, but I can imagine they are just as gentle with each other as carnivore community. I can't imagine there would be any different. So if you're in a vegan community and you want to speak up about it and say, hey, my vegan people help me with my questions too, and I can get on board with that. So, but yeah, Brian, if you want to let the people know what the name of the Instagram, and I believe there's a YouTube and a Facebook channel as well. So please advertise it. I have no problem with that. Okay, so hopefully we've got that magnesium, potassium, sodium, calcium, all of that taken into consideration. Get your levels checked first, you guys, please, before you start taking something that could cause more heart damage, okay? It's not worth it. What if you need supplements if your body can't produce said nutrient even on a healthy diet? Then take it, right? I mean, take it. If you are low in something and you're not getting it from your diet, then maybe you find a really, really good source of that particular supplement and you take it, okay? So those are kind of things that you need to know about. You know, you get your levels checked and see where you're at. And then here's what I would do. I would do a deep dive on why you can't absorb that nutrient. What is it about your body that you can't absorb, why you can't absorb it? And you have to take more as a supplement. Sean takes creatine. I do it daily. I go back and forth on creatine. Oh my gosh. I could listen to one podcaster or one I don't want to call him an influencer. I don't want to call him an expert. I could listen to one person say how important creatine is, okay? Even at high doses, like 15 milligrams a day. And then I could listen to somebody else say that if you are eating red meat, a ruminant red meat, and enough, and that's where the problem arises. Is the person eating enough? I don't know. Do I think I do? Yes. I mean, for a little person, I eat about a pound a day, or maybe a little more. So let's just say a pound of red meat a day. I probably eat 6 eggs a day. I will eat an ounce for sure of liver a day. Sardines a few times a week. I'm thinking I get enough creatine. But I may not be. I don't know. I don't know. Are there disastrous effects of creatine? I'm not sure that we have found that out yet. There'll be some people who say, absolutely do not take that unknown powder. We don't know what it is. It's just another way to sell you something and make money off of you. I wish I knew the answer, Sean. I really do. Okay. Thanks, Bella. I will look them up. I've never heard of that brand. Thank you, boss. I appreciate it. Is anabolic a vitamin or a mineral? Is anabolic... Terry, I don't understand your question. But yeah, James, I would agree. Right now, no, I don't know what the supplements help us. They could win-win. It could be a win-win. It could also be a win-lose. So I don't know. Yes, bacon grease, beef is a good supplement, especially with bacon grease all over it. I do love bacon grease. Oh my gosh, I could eat it right off the spoon. Yeah, me too, Justin. I'm right with you. I want to know the root cause, not just keep popping pills. I am so with you. And I used to pop all kinds of supplements. I really did. 3-4 years ago, I took, I mean, I had like a fishing tackle box where they had the individual, they were packed full. It was packed full of supplements. And honestly, when I went just cold turkey, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice. Let's see. Fabian says, what is difficult to understand is that I take zinc, omega-3, vitamin D, vitamin C, and my blood tests are okay. Good, as long as we're taking the right blood tests. So you want to get a red blood cell zinc level, okay? RBC zinc level. Don't get, just a serum zinc. Also on your omega-3s, I mean, honestly, any type of omega fatty, an essential fatty acid, it's already really been oxidized. It's rancid by the time you get it. It's on the shelf. It's already rancid. So you're already you're actually consuming oxidation in the form of omega-3s. I would simply eat sardines, or grass-fed beef. That's going to be higher in omega-3s. You could eat pasture-raised eggs. That's going to be higher in omega-3s, okay? Also, Fabian, make sure if you're going to continue taking the omega-3s, make sure that when you check that level, you get an omega-6 to 3 ratio, okay? You want to know what your omega-6 level is as well. So that should be a 1-to-1 ratio. Most levels I have seen, now granted, these people consume a lot of processed foods. I mean, I've seen 20-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3. They're a metabolic mess. I call it a metabolic mess. James says the root cause is usually complex and influenced by countless overlapping variables. There often isn't just one, and I would agree with James. That's why, if somebody is a reductionist and they'll tell you it's all just sugar, or it's all just iron, or it's all just low copper, or it's all just they're being a reductionist, okay? And we shouldn't go there. It's compounding variables. Would I say that insulin resistance is at the top of my list? Absolutely. Is iron at the top of the list? Iron overload? Absolutely. Is processed foods? Is seed oils? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So overlapping variables, compounding, it's complex. That's why we do these things. So just listening to somebody sell you things online is not in your best interest, because we have normal biologic and physiologic processes going on in our body. Let's take, for instance, antioxidants. We have pathways of antioxidants, okay? And let's just say that we have vitamin C's here and then vitamin E or whatever, glutathione. And if we take a supplement, we're actually inserting it into a normal biologic process. And so everything downstream or even upstream behind it is being thrown off. So now you've changed a normal biologic or physiologic pathway. Let me give you an example. And this is not really with vitamin C or with kind of a normal supplement. It's with a medication, a pharmaceutical. It's with an HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor. It's called a statin, like Lipitor or Crestor or Pravachol. An HMG-CoA reductase, an enzyme inhibitor. It's actually telling you in its name, it's inhibiting a normal biologic process in our body. And so if we block it, so say we're blocking it here, everything downstream, if we block that enzyme and halt the progression of everything that gets formed downstream, like cholesterol, we don't have that. So you're blocking a normal biologic process, and we do it all the time. In fact, when you eat, you're blocking normal biologic processes. The very fact of eating causes inflammation, even if it's a carnivore diet, even if it's a vegan diet. The mere aspect of putting something foreign in your body, causes inflammation. But it's in and it's out, and the inflammation, there's less inflammatory foods than others, okay? So a processed food riddled with seed oils and glucose are going to be very inflammatory versus an animal-based diet, okay? Less inflammation. My belief, okay? You don't have to believe whatever I believe, but look into it, okay? So when we block these normal biologic processes, like with an HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, we don't get cholesterol. We don't get the LDL, but we also don't get our cholesterol and we don't get our LDL, as if God made a mistake and we actually don't need those things. I think that is wrong. That is a big red flag. We do need cholesterol. We do need LDL. We do need HDL, okay? We also need vitamin D. So if you're on a CoA reductase inhibitor, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, you might not have as much vitamin D production. You also might not have as much vitamin K production. That's all in that mevalonate pathway. And so that is a pathway, a normal pathway in our body, and we're blocking it by taking a medication because we're told that LDL is a problem in our body when God made us with LDL. There's other things that we need to look into. If a doctor tells you that if I lower your LDL, you're not going to have a heart attack, I think that's bad advice. That's my opinion, okay? Because I think every doctor would agree that diabetes is the number one cause of a heart attack. Diabetes is the number one cause of heart disease. Diabetes is the number one cause of kidney disease. Diabetes is the number one cause of people dying of things that are preventable. LDL isn't even on that list. It's like maybe number 10, okay? It's just not there. Again, this is my thoughts. I could be completely wrong. I'm going to be perfectly honest, but I was in the camp where LDL was the boogeyman. We treated everybody's LDL and we still got heart attacks. And I saw more and more diabetes. Now, of course, I'm growing older with the patients. They're still eating the same crapola diet, so it's no wonder they got diabetes. Or is the statin helping that along a little faster? I think both. There's negatives to doing these things, okay? There's negatives to everything we put in our body. And I think James was bringing that to light, and I just took it and ran with it. Okay? Sean says, I live in one of the only cities in the nation that doesn't fluoridate their water. Do you happen to live in Tennessee? I would love to know. You don't have to tell me the city. Just thank you, Linda. I appreciate you being here. Rattle, thank you for the gift. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for supporting this channel and me. It does make me feel good. Well, yeah, that's why they make iodized stuff. Okay, I can agree with you, Omega, but the fact that we have iodized salt, the minute that iodine hits the air, it is worthless. And so iodizing something is not going to be helpful. I mean, look it up. The minute you open the salt shaker, it's gone. The minute it hits air, it's gone. That's why iodine actually comes in a brown bottle, in a dropper bottle. You're supposed to take it out and put the cap on really, really fast, okay? Same with vitamin C. For those of you who put vitamin C on your skin, it gets oxidized the minute air hits it. So if you have a bottle of vitamin C that doesn't come from a pump, the minute it hits air or sees light, it's gone. That's why there are different forms of vitamin C that we put on our skin that are not ascorbic acid. And it's possible that some of the vitamin C's that we're putting in our body are also oxidized. Sean, thank you. And thank Linda. Usually Linda's here and RM is here, and sometimes even Lucy is here. Lion, how do I send a tip on Instagram? You send a tip on Instagram after the video is done. It'll have a little tiny gift button, and you can send a gift. You can do it on Facebook as well. It's in the comment section. It's one of either the far right or far left. There's a star, and you actually, to send a gift, you have to buy stars, Lion. So on Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook, there's little, you have to buy, they're called stars. And then you can send those stars as a gift. It's a little different. YouTube, it's super chat, super stickers, super gifts, super stuff. It's every platform is different. But YouTube is usually the one that works well for this. It seems to be really, really easy. So yes, Sean, I only got one moderator working today, and kudos to Linda. She's doing an awesome job, and I really appreciate her. Usually we have 3. Blazer, I don't understand your comment. Sorry. Mr. Chieftain, I'm not really into supplements, and I really think that all the supplements I know about, everybody else knows about. I think if there were 2 big ones, it would be iodine and maybe creatine. And it just depends on what you're eating. If you're vegan, I would say you need vitamin B12. You need to make sure you're getting some omega-3 in the form of DHA and EPA, because, the conversion of ALA to those are not good. So you would probably need to add something like that. So I guess it just depends on, also, there's no vitamin A in plants. They get beta carotene, and you're hoping that the beta carotene will convert to the vitamin A or retinol, but I just can't see that either. So I guess it depends on what you're eating or what you're not eating. So thank you, Angel. Please share, subscribe, like, hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I want to get, I have these little goals. At first, on YouTube, I wanted to get 1,000 subscribers. Then I wanted to get 3,000 subscribers, and now I want 5,000 subscribers, and I bet I'll have 5,000, I want 10,000, and I'll have 10,000, I want 20, and it's just going to keep going up. And I said that about Instagram. I had these goals, and I don't think my Instagram channel has changed. I know there's a lot of bots, because I can go up like 100 people or 100 follows, and then all of a sudden the next day I'm down 200. So I think there's a lot of bots going on. So please like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts, do the thing. I appreciate it. Sean says, carnivore saved my life as well. I'm 17 months in, 54, and I'm now running again and pain-free. That's an awesome story, Sean. You and Uncle Charlie and Fabian and all of you guys, these stories are so awesome to hear. Wayne says the same thing. Carnivore saved his life. That's, gosh, yeah. Sean says, I miss pasta as well. My mom is Italian, not happy with my choice. Well, I'm sure she's not. She wants you to, she wants you to be fed, and that's what Italian women do. That's what most mothers do. Most mothers want their kids to be, nourished, and they love, they're like Abrahams. They really love to love their kids, and they show that through cooking them food and all kinds of stuff. That's human, but you're doing it for your health, and if she loves you, she will respect you. Yes, Bella, I agree. Gosh, I'm missing so much. Is there any question? I keep reading just comments, but if you have a question in here, let me know, because I can't see them. Yeah, I agree, Bella. Our parents don't realize how, I skipped to the end, you guys, because we probably should call it quits and meet back tomorrow if there's no questions. Sean says, now I wish I could have reversed my bad eyesight. You and me both. I've heard some have done it. The thing is, it kind of depends, Sean, and this is from my research. I think if a person started out farsighted, that no diet could probably change and help with the nearsightedness that they have now. Because they were farsighted for years, say 50 years or 40 years, I think it's around 40, 45 that your eyesight starts to reverse. So at first, when you're farsighted, you could see far, far away, and you could also see up close. But when you're farsighted, you force the muscles to change the shape of the eyeball. And that shape of the eyeball is actually aging the eyeball faster than a nearsighted person would age their eyeball. And so with that being said, I don't know if you could reverse the shape of your eyeball back to the normal shape when you were 10 years old. So with a diet, I don't think that that's possible. Now, if you're a person who was nearsighted and you're maybe developing some cataracts and you're developing some macular degeneration, I have seen those people reverse their eyesight to the better. So I guess it depends on where you come from, where. Okay. Sonia says blind as a bat from the beginning. I'm guessing that you were nearsighted. My dad was nearsighted. This is only from experience. As he aged, he got to be about 80. He said he didn't have to use his glasses anymore. So by the time he reached about maybe 75, 80, he started taking his glasses off, and because he could see better without his glasses than with them. And he was going to the eye ophthalmologist regularly. So maybe, Sonia, there's hope. You won't need your glasses when you're 75, 80. Okay? Yes, Linda, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, you guys. Sean says, very well said, doctor. I appreciate that answer. Thank you. I'll stay pain-free, but blind with my trifocals. Okay. Well, you maybe not. You're only 17 months into it. Give it 4 or 5 years. You might go from a try to a buy to a reading glasses. So, okay. It'll be fun to. Hopefully I didn't, Lion, I did answer your question about the tip question. So, just maybe text me if you still have a question about it and I can kind of go through it. It would be easier to explain anyway, but there are ways to tip or send kudos. But for right now, you guys, I want to thank you for all being here and for your questions. Many of them were brilliant and really get me thinking, and I appreciate that. I love to be able to think and to use my knowledge and to help you guys and to share information. And if you find that something is wrong or I said something that you say, hey, I think that sounds questionable, look it up and let me know. Be nice about it. That I don't want to build up my defense mechanisms. Let's be nice. Like my patients were nice when they were telling me I was wrong, but they said it so nicely. It helped me to go look it up and to be a better doctor. And that's what I want to be. I want to be a better doctor coach for you guys. So if you're here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central, we can go over more things. If you want some topics to be discussed tomorrow, just maybe message me and I can talk about those. I want to thank Lion for sending me a topic this week to talk about for a reel. I think it was something that I probably would have overlooked, and it was on colonoscopies. And if you guys want, we can talk about it tomorrow. But I do appreciate you guys messaging me and letting me know if there's a topic that as long as I know about it, I'll talk about it. So, okay? All right, you guys. Have a blessed Saturday, and we'll see you back, Lord willing, tomorrow, Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. You guys have a great day. See ya.